everybody, and welcome to episode 64 of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who are the zombies with me tonight?
Roar, Stefan, JD.
Lost Boys, Stuart Hughes.
This is Jeff. I mean, boo.
It works.
Yeah.
And Jeff, do you want to say where people might know you from?
Game Informer, possibly, or maybe if you went to high school with me, you knew me from there. That's probably...
Hey, there are Minnesota listeners. If you're from Minnesota,
I'm not. That's why. But if you went to high school in Minnesota, you wouldn't know me. That's all.
We cater to an extremely niche audience. Specifically, we're looking for the demographic of Jeff Cork's high school graduation year.
All right. They may not know what podcasts are, but I don't know. Maybe their kids will tell them someday.
We will not stop until 100% of that class listens to us.
So we're gonna go on for infinity.
We're just gonna turn into a newsletter that didn't end. A high school newsletter that just keeps going on forever.
And Stefan, do you want to introduce what wonderful game you forced us to play this week?
Well, I didn't force anyone. Everyone here wanted to play it, of course.
I did not want to.
We were playing the Sega Genesis or Super Nintendo game, depends on which version you played. Zombies Ate My Neighbors, which is I wouldn't consider it a horror game. I don't know. What do you guys think?
It's not really a shoot 'em up, but kind of.
A Robotron Light?
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Yeah, it's a weird game.
I mean, the game terrified me because it wouldn't end, and I screwed up and couldn't find a stupid key at one point. But we'll get to that.
Yeah, I forgot how long this game was.
Yeah.
I remember playing it before, and when Stefan said it, I was like, "Oh, that'll be a good little hour game." And 2 hours in, I was like, "When are we getting to the end here?"
How many levels?
Yeah, it ain't that short.
We're just gonna keep going, huh?
Yeah.
It feels like they just made up names for levels, and they're like, "Well, we're gonna use all of them."
These are all really good puns, so we need to use all of them.
I mean, and this game came out in 1993, made by LucasArts, published by Konami. If I should say that real quick. Oh God, I played this game as a kid, and I remember I'm like, it's okay, and then I played it as an adult, and I'm like, no, I was not happy at all.
This is one of the very, very early games to have censorship across the seas, because I remember that's my main reason for knowing this game is I remember reading about it in one of our history classes back when I did the history of game design classes, which were very fun and very interesting. But yeah, Zombies Ate My Neighbors came up because the blood used to be red, and this is one of the first games where they had to change the blood to purple to get through the censors.
Mm-hmm. So what platforms did everybody play on? Just so we know what we're up against here.
I played the SNES version.
Okay.
I played Sega.
Oh my God, you really missed out.
Yep.
I played Super Nintendo.
Yeah. I was familiar with it when it first came out. I played it on Super Nintendo, and at the time, really liked it. And the one thing that stuck with me, and I will say that it has not been diminished over time, is the soundtrack is phenomenal. It's so good. And then I listened to it. I played the Super Nintendo version. I was like, what did it sound like on the Genesis version? And it is just as farty and synthesizer heavy as you'd expect. I just hate the way the Genesis games sound. So I mean, yeah, it didn't disappoint there either, because it was Genesis.jpg big time.
Yeah, this is one of those soundtracks where I was hoping online that somebody had successfully posted really good tabs for it, and I learned it on guitar. So playing it for a couple hours, learning it, my roommate got really sick of the soundtrack fast.
That's how you do. What the hell are you playing? Zombies Ate My Neighbors.
Yeah, I'll say the song from I think the first time it appears, all these songs, you will hear them lots of times. Don't worry about that. But I think it first appears it's the little ditty that plays when you rescue the survivors and you go into the exit. It plays a truncated version of it. The full version of the song is on Terror in Aisle 5 for the first time. It has stuck with me. I've not really thought about this game for 20 years or so, but that song I have it memorized. It's one of my favorite video game songs. And it is still, like I said, it is just as good now as it was back then. So good.
Well, I was looking up to see the composer was Joe McDermott, and I was looking to see what else he had worked on, and really wasn't that much. Like this is arguably his most famous one. Like after this, he did Putt Putt Saves the Zoo.
I thought it was there Fat Man who did the soundtrack?
All I could find was Joe McDermott. Unless that's just like one of those little bits of info that was lost to Wikipedia and lost.
Yeah, so if anyone doesn't know what this game is,
Oh yeah,
I'll kind of introduce it, the short version of it.
I'm going to be mean.
Yeah, Mike's going to be mean. It's the 1 or 2 player game where you take control of 2 characters named Zeke and Julie, who look like they're straight out of the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
And they fight monsters trying to save their neighbors, sometimes trying to save army men, sometimes trying to save babies.
Sometimes killing babies to save babies.
Well, what I should have done, and I didn't do, like when the speed run, when I watched speedrun, they kill everybody but one person, leave one person alive, and that's just who they rescue to get through this game fast. That's the right way to play, because I ended up playing like a Resident Evil game. Like I held on to every item I could. I tried to save everything. I also played with save states and cheat codes at the end because the game broke me. I got to a point when the game literally broke me, and I'm just like, I hate Stefan right now. But we'll get to that.
There are just so many callbacks in this game. It is like they take everything from horror, from like the 1950s like nuclear war horror, like Man vs. Spider or whatever it is. Like
Man vs. Ant. More likely this one.
Them. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, them. Yeah.
Real like Mars Attacks vibes, even though Mars Attacks came out later, which was very surprising to me.
Well, it's just that same like that I'm assuming 1950 movies where you have the aliens that have the big heads, what Mars Attacks was spoofing on. Yeah. That whole idea. And you have levels where they have like a bubble gun or something that puts you in a red bubble that really annoyed me every time. Every time it pissed me off.
I think part of it, what it is it's Killer Clowns from Outer Space, how they'd get you in the cotton candy with their guns or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of reminded me of that, eating humans.
I like this creature from the Black Lagoons that would just pop out of the water.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, they killed so many of my survivors. They would just say, God, I don't care about you. I'm just going to kill this victim.
Yeah.
And, I was trying to keep more victims alive for the majority of this game before I broke down.
Yeah, this is you gotta be quick in this game. This is one of those games where you really gotta like play the level over and over again and memorize it and like have that map in your head. Be like, all right, I know this person's over here, so like go this way. Like I can get through this bush or I can break this wall down.
Yeah,
it's like a mad dash.
Yeah,
yes. I mean, you start with a squirt gun, which I still think it's funny how you kill zombies with a squirt gun. Except that's the only enemy you can really kill. When you start fighting the little Chucky babies or you're fighting the chainsaw Jason wannabes, I mean, that squirt gun is going to do absolutely nothing.
You know what that reminded me of? And it got to the point where I ended up just watching the movie because it's like a perfect pairing with this game. It reminded me so much of The Lost Boys.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The squirt guns with holy water kind of thing.
I was trying to come up with like the subgenre of what that horror is because it's like it's not quite horror, it's not quite comedy. It's like the subgenre of like freaks save the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Put like in the same list as like The Burbs with Tom Hanks. Just those or like the original Fright Night, just those original those classic movies of okay, these kids are a bunch of weirdos and the neighborhood's in trouble and no one believes them. They've got to save the day.
Yep. Yep, you got werewolves like Silver Bullet, kind of that going on there too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
Oh, just a bunch of great movies from the 80s.
Okay.
Yeah.
I skipped a lot of 80s movies for some reason.
Oh, we should do it.
I was born in the 80s.
We could do a whole episode on The Lost Boys. Love that movie.
Yeah, we probably will. But, I mean, the thing about this game is each level you have to rescue so many victims, however many you have surviving as you progress through the game, and you have like 48 levels. And at first, I was having fun. I'm like, hey, this ain't so bad. It's kind of fun shooting zombies, collecting items, running through the level. I want to say I got to a point where, like, when you fight the first boss, which is a giant baby.
Yeah, it turns out that giant babies test positive for evil.
Yes.
All I could think. At least it wasn't Drakengard giant babies. Someone gets that reference. None of you, I'm assuming.
That's for you, classmates of Jeff Torch.
It's a PS2 action RPG. But no, it just that fight. I mean, I was okay with that fight, but like that's again why I kept because I saved everything. All I wanted to use was the squirt gun, and it's not useful against boss fights or against anything.
Yeah.
It took a while.
I spent a lot of time trying not to kill zombies and just running away because like you're faster than a lot of the enemies in this game, with the exception of a couple that you can kind of get caught in the geometry. So I tried to play this like
Babies.
super conservatively, and it just kept screwing me over.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't be on. Oh, you go, Jeff.
I was just gonna say really quick that giant baby boss fight is completely badass because it takes up about a third of the screen, which is incredible. It like to have a sprite that big was amazing at the time, and it's like surprisingly well animated too. It probably has more frames of walking animation than your characters, which it looks like the way that like Zeke and What's Her Face movie, it's very shoddily animated, but the baby is so good. And you know, before you get freaked out, when you kill the baby boss or defeat it, it just shrinks down into a baby, which you then rescue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like a Dante's Inferno Xbox 360 game where you're killing these babies or anything like that. You're saving the baby. It just happens to have gotten too big.
Yeah.
Very rarely do you save the demon baby in games now.
No.
That was a. I mean, and they make you fight that boss. Like I tried to skip him. I'm like, I tried everything, but you have to fight him unless you're using cheat code, which I wasn't yet. Because you need, I think, a key or something, or by him dying opens the door. I can't remember exactly.
I think he opens the exit. Yeah, and that's like kind of the weird thing too. Is like once you rescue everybody, just a door pops out of the ground and it's on the next level.
Yep.
It's very 1980s cartoon. I mean, 1980s. I want to say. I felt like that.
It's cartoony, but like it's kind of odd because the game has definitely aged, but it's aged in a way that almost works in its favor. Because it wasn't made in the 80s, but it's got such that 80s look to it. It
has like an unmistakable LucasArts feel to it, which, you know, if you're familiar with the graphic adventure games, play like Steve Purcell stuff, like Sam and Max Hit the Road. Probably is like the full throttle to a certain degree. Like they had a very distinct visual style, and I think this is like the pinnacle of it. I love the way it looks, and I love, like, for about half of the game at least, every level introduces something new, which is really great, and they do a good job of like rationing out what limited art assets they have. You know, for about half the game, you're just like, every time, like I said, there's something like a new enemy type or someone like a new like palette for the backgrounds and everything, and then it just eventually you're like, okay, now we've just put everything in the blender that's been introduced.
Yeah, it's like the Earth is going to hell. Here it is. Like even the giant baby kind of reminds me of like Honey, I Blew Up the Kids.
Oh yeah.
Or
which is coming back maybe.
Yeah, or the little blobs that go around, like the movie The Blob.
Oh, I love those little blobs.
So many.
It didn't bother me.
Yeah.
I'm assuming the Jason mask chainsaw was like a combination of what Friday the 13th and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm assuming what they were going for.
Probably.
That's a weird like video gamey thing. Is that the like Splatterhouse hockey mask plus chainsaw, which only exists. I think it was introduced in games because like I've never like. That doesn't happen in the Friday the 13th movies. Maybe everyone is like, he uses a weed whacker at one point.
I'm trying. I'm trying to think of every like Friday the 13th kill in my head now. Like all 48 of those movies.
It's a lot of getting stabbed in the chest with a machete. He's not really a chainsaw kind of guy.
Chainsaw. He uses an axe, a baseball bat. He uses a nail gun at some point.
Yeah.
And also, like when you shoot them with the bazooka thing, they fall over and like shake their butt at you or something.
Yeah.
It looked really funny. Then they get back up and try to kill me. Then it wasn't so funny anymore.
Yeah, they killed the creature from the Black Lagoon guys. They turned into like a pile of fish.
Yeah. I never really fought them. I just ran.
Yeah.
What really makes this game is like the enemies, just the sheer amount of them and how different they are, and just how many callbacks there are to different movies. The giant ants are great. That's just like take up so much of the screen, and
they're
like
mean.
They're like not quite shaded. They just look wrong, but it works really well.
Yeah.
I mean, the part that got me is when they climbed over the wall and came after me, and I'm like, no, I did not appreciate that. Because they can climb. Some enemies can go through things.
I mean, I want to say there really is a sense of terror though when those like chainsaw wielding Jasons are coming after you in the hedge maze and you can't get through the grass. And they can chainsaw their way anywhere they want. I was terrified as a child.
Yeah, when I found out that I could bazooka through the grass to get away, I was like, oh my god, game changer. So much easier.
I saved all the bazooka ammo. I had like over 100 ammo when I got near the end of the game. I just saved it all the time because I was playing like a survival horror game.
I used it almost primarily for like destroying walls and stuff because I just realized very quickly that that was going to be a necessity.
Yeah.
You have to, otherwise you will not survive very well. You can get through a level because I avoided breaking a lot of walls, but it would have made the game a lot easier if I just blew things up instead of saving all my items.
At some point, I remember that this was a Super NES game, and I was like, oh yeah, if I just get off the screen, then the enemy disappears.
That doesn't always work when it comes to, like, there were multiple times where a zombie would kill a survivor and I go, oh, like, let's reload that save state. And no matter what I did, I couldn't get, like, the game was set up, like, I'd say, let's say 10 seconds before that part. And no matter what I did, that zombie, they kept getting killed. I'm like, well, I guess they're dead. That happened a few times. I would have never gotten anywhere without save states in this game.
Oh, no, I
coding for this game to see how they set that up of like, okay, yeah, this guy is this guy gonna just die within 2 minutes, and if you don't get to him within 2 minutes, he's gone. Like, I couldn't figure out exactly how it was running, but it worked because I was constantly on edge.
I think there's a couple times where even it's set up to where if you don't do the mad dash directly towards the civilian, then they just die immediately.
Oh,
like, you have a second to get there, I want to say, on some of them over time. But there are a couple weapons that grant you a little bit of vulnerability or invincibility, like the weed whacker kind of helps.
Your vulnerability.
Yeah, the weed whacker kind of helps, and what's the other one? The cross, where you shoot the fire around you.
It was wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of God, I really want that Uzi water gun now. Like, that's such a it's such a great video game weapon.
Well, I should ask. I'm going to start with Jeff. Did you have a favorite weapon that you went to in this game when you could?
You got to stick with bazooka. It's one of those, like, if I just wish it had unlimited ammunition, which it goes against the spirit of it. But yeah, it's like the ultimate skeleton key. You're blasting cracks in doors. You're like, it makes everything so much easier. But yeah, again, limited ammo.
It does. I wish it had unlimited. Mine had unlimited ammo at the end, but that's like I said, I tried to play games with just save states, so I'm like, because I'm still using my own way to get through it, but I feel more comfortable. And then I got to a point near the end where I could not find the skeleton key. I'm like, okay, I must have screwed up, so I went and used a password, lost all my items, and then I'm like, you know what? Screw this, and I just put Game Genie codes in, and I said, we're done.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, when this game came out, this and I think like putting in a code in Street Fighter 2 that would let you do midair fireballs justified the purchase of the Game Genie. It was like I never would have seen the end of the game otherwise. It just seems like punitively difficult.
Part of me kind of wishes stuff like that would come back, like the extra cheat periphery, like if you get this and plug it into your device. Like,
yeah.
It's just such an of its time thing. Like, I feel like you couldn't do that now with like the Xbox.
It's on mobile games now where you pay extra money things to help you do better. I know
for free is an extra $2.99. That's what I was thinking of. But just like having like Game Shark, and just like if you pick up a Game Shark, you feel like a god compared to everybody else. You're like, I have the power now.
Yep.
I remember back in the 90s, I would only rent games that had cheat codes in my Game Genie. Otherwise, I wouldn't rent them because I wasn't very good at a lot of games. So I'm like, oh, there's no Game Genie codes. We're not going to rent that game.
Not much has changed.
This game. Oh, now I saved it. But no, not much has changed. I'm still the same gamer.
Yeah, I played through about half of this, and then I was like, this is not worth my time right now. So I have other stuff to do. So I watched a speed run, and go figure, the speedrunners make the game look very easy. And it was awesome, though, because the video that I watched, the guy was doing something that I thought that was like I was the only one who did it, is he would switch his weapons in time with the music because it makes a weird little sound. And just kind of like a weird little tick when you're just running around from point to point is just like keeping time with the music by switching the weapons around. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I would do that with the when there's a potion you can drink that turns you into the big the big blue meanie.
Yeah.
Just like the punching noise is so perfect with that music. It's like that old school cartoon like noise. It's great.
Yeah.
Music you're playing, just like trying to keep it up. Yeah, everything sounds amazing.
The monster.
I can't. It's just the blue potion in my mind. I don't know, or maybe it's purple.
It's purple. I think the blue potion lets you walk on water.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, which was very confusing to me. It was like, because it seemed to turn you into like ice, I thought, and I was like, ice floats, but ice can't walk on water. That's not how ice works.
I'm clearly not invisible because everyone is still going after me.
I love those ice pops that you could freeze people with.
Mm-hmm.
I never used them. I got them. I didn't like them. I don't know.
The only thing that would have made this game more 80s is if they were like branded ice pop weapons. Get like a product placement in there.
Fire extinguisher, sure. Also freeze people. That's what I used a lot.
Oh yeah,
to freeze people when I was just done with the game.
I made a decision very early in my life where any game that gives you a flamethrower and a fire extinguisher, I would love forever. Just because giving you both, like, it happens. It opens up so many opportunities. Not every game takes advantage of those opportunities, but they should.
Right.
I don't remember a flamethrower.
Oh yeah, there's a flamethrower.
I don't think I ever got.
Yeah.
You got me wondering now.
It's a zombie game. There's got to be a flamethrower.
Yeah, I mean, again, I was just rushing through this game because I was just done with it after a while. Well, just in general, this is one of those games where it doesn't pay to stick around. Like, it is in your best interest to get all the survivors and get the hell out of the level and keep going. It doesn't pay to, I mean, it wasn't worth it to stick around because you're going to use more items, you're going to get hurt and lose health.
Yep.
Or just me, I don't know. I was just, yeah. I mean, I played this game as a kid with a buddy of mine. Like, I remember he introduced me to it, and I'm like, oh, I just suck at it. And I played it now as an adult, and I'm like, oh yeah, I still suck at it, but I'm older now. I don't know. It's just, but I mean, I do agree that the names of the levelings were funny as hell. I'm not really into, as Jeff said earlier, I'm not really in puns, but he writes a lot of more like kind of pun names, and they feel like they could have been wacky movies in like the '60s. In or around Monster Island.
I mean, yeah, they're all like references to something. There's so many references like packed into this game. It's absurd. There's a point where I think it's an Evening of the Undead, you can find a meteorite crashed into the world, and it's just a tiny little thing in the background. But I'm like, oh, that's a reference to Night of the Living Dead, because that's how zombies exist in Night of the Living Dead. Off screen, they say a meteorite crashed. They believe to be the cause of the zombie outbreak.
I forgot about that. Right. That makes sense.
I kind of also took it as like the Stephen King creep show thing, like it's meteor shit, and all the plants start appearing and everything.
Or Tommy Knockers is like meteor based too, I think.
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, we were real worried about meteors hitting the Earth a while back.
Oh, Tremors are in this game.
There's Tremors in this game.
Was Tremors out before this or after this game? That's what I'm curious.
I think it would have been before. Yeah.
I mean, okay. There's just like if we listed all the references, it would be the entire episode. There's like chopping mall references. There's everything. There's the giant ants are I believe a reference to there was a movie just called Ants, not Ants with a Z. There was a movie called Ants in the 50s or Them. Yeah, there's the giant bugs.
Yeah, Earth vs. Spider.
Nightmare on Terror Street, obviously Nightmare on Elm Street.
Those little Chucky things are my bane of my existence. I've been running down a passageway of a box. I'm like, I hate this. And then you kill them, and they light on fire and chase after you every so often.
This game is a great marker for did a movie come out before or after 93? Was it referenced in this game? Okay, before 93. Yep. I'm gonna start using that. Okay, Chucky's are in this game. Chucky was before 1993. The Day the Earth Ran Away. Before 1993, way before.
Yeah.
Well, that's 1940.
That was Day the Earth Stood Still.
Day the Earth Stood Still.
I love The Day the Earth Ran Away is such a great title because it sounds like the title of like a Futurama episode. Like one of those What If machine episodes.
I like Mars Needs Cheerleaders, and then that level's weird because you've got your the enemies on that are super annoying are like football players, and they don't appear to be monstrous. They're just regular survivor football players, but you can't rescue them, but they knock you backward.
Jeff, please, they're 80s jocks, all right?
Okay, that's right. Strong jock bias.
All jocks were the enemies in the 80s. Remember, subgenre, freaks save the world. Jocks are the bad guys. Pretty girls are the bad guys. We need.
I want to say too. Wasn't there like a comedy with Jim Carrey and Jeff Goldblum where they were aliens needing cheerleaders or something?
Oh my God!
Space Girls are awesome.
Well, Earth Girls are easy, right?
Yeah, Earth Girls are easy. Yeah.
I know who you're talking about too. I don't know why.
I think there was a movie, Mars Needs Women, and that was parodied on The Simpsons. Fairbanks needs women, if I'm not mistaken, because that's like close to my hometown. It was,
Yeah. And then they came out with the kids movie Marge Needs Moms, and I was like, why are you referencing this? Like, it's such a weird. No kid on the planet. Most people alive are not going to get this reference. We're going to make a kids movie. We're going to reference an old sci-fi movie where Martians come and kidnap all of our women.
That is kind of funny with the names in this game. And I guess this game had bonus levels. I never saw any of them. I know they're there.
I really liked where the Redfern growls.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that was a super good one.
I
did watch the speedrunner video that I was watching. He did all the bonus levels, and the first one is like a Day of the Tentacle, not a like homage, and it's got like the tentacle enemies from that.
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing too.
Yeah, I love those little tentacles. I like whenever an alien in a game is not like humanoid based. I like when they do, or just anything like the Blob. I love the Blob, one of my favorite horror movies. It's like, it's from outer space. And it's like, yeah, it doesn't look anything like people. That makes sense.
Like the Blob, the remake or the original?
Both. But they both have their strengths.
I agree.
The one with Steve McQueen. I think that's the original, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the one I loved.
Probably.
Both,
I know when I was in high,
they both straight up kill kids, which is
terrified
something
of horror
that,
movies, and I still don't like horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
But when I remember in high school, I went to the library and I was renting different like old 50s horror movies and 60 horror movies and stuff just to see things I never saw, because I was like, okay, I'm okay with these. Like, these don't bother. I just watching the Blob. You reminded me of that. I know it's not 60. I know it's later, but that's a good movie. Not that freaky.
Blob was 1958. The original.
Never mind then.
The remake was 88.
Yep.
Okay. I don't think it was the remake I watched. Maybe. No, I watched the original.
was it Steve McQueen or Shawnee?
I mean, that's a long time ago.
Was it Kevin Dillon? Remember Kevin Dillon? He's an actor. He still does stuff occasionally.
I just realized, I'm looking at all the titles. One of the levels is called Fish and Crypt. Yeah, that amuses me. I didn't notice that when I was playing through this game, because in the 30s I was just like, I need to be done. I don't want to play this anymore. So.
Every one of these titles would be it would be right at home as being said by like the Crypt Keeper. Just imagine you saying like, and that was our great dances with werewolves.
Speaking of werewolves, those enemies pissed me off because they'll jump over walls too, and they'll ignore you, jump over a wall, kill your victim, and then come back for you. And I'm like, you bastard.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, I think they first appear in the castle too, which in the context of this game, a lot of the levels don't make sense because at some point you are in a pyramid fighting mummies multiple times, and then later on I kind of felt like they were like the big main levels, like the castles you go into and fight like vampires, Frankensteins.
I love the implication that like that pyramid is just in their neighborhood. It's like, hey, like you're trying to tell somebody like, how do I get to the grocery store? All right, you're gonna go down the street, take a left at the high school, right at the giant pyramid. You can't miss it.
Well, to be fair, you're going through these weird exit portals.
Yeah,
it's true. So you're really you're not Chris Hemsworth. You're Christian Haydenson from Jumper.
Exactly.
I was thinking the Twilight Zone through the door.
Oh, through the door.
Yeah, the eerie door.
That made
the eerie door. That's it. I was
sense
just trying to think of it.
I don't know where Jumper came from. Why are you referencing that movie?
I like Jumper. All right, I have to put it in the podcast somehow.
I've never seen it.
I'm the only one that'll ever admit to liking Jumper.
Have you played the Jumper game?
There's a Jumper game?
No.
Yeah, for 360.
Oh my god, that's got to be awful.
It's not great.
Achievements, though.
Yeah, that's exactly why people played it for sure.
That's why I played it.
That's got to be a terrible game, but that's such a great idea for a game. It's just Portal essentially.
Oh, they didn't go that route.
Oh no! Oh, do they go like full like cinematic? We're gonna recreate the movie.
It's real. It's bad.
Oh no, that might have to be on the show.
It's on PS2.
Game Informer gave it a 1.75 out of 10.
Almost a 2. Oh boy,
solid score. I forget
was generous.
Get Reiner in the show and get him to explain himself. that horrendous score.
Good luck with that. All right. So this game, like every so often, they do break up the game with bosses. Like we had mentioned the Tremors bosses. We mentioned the giant baby.
Yep.
And then you fight a freaking giant spider. But the first one, that was a That thing took a lot of damage too.
Mm-hmm.
That one in particular super sucks. Yeah, that's the worst kind of boss where it's just like, I'm just here to take your hits, and it's gonna
be a while.
it's gonna be a while. Yeah,
Strap in.
yeah.
And it slows you down.
Yeah, and the webs, yeah, it's insane. And again, I was using the speedrun video as a barometer, and it was like, oh, it was good to see that this is when it stopped being a speedrun. It was with the stupid spider boss. It was just this awful slog even then.
Yeah.
Because I used Pandora's box, which is a little item that you get in this game where you open it up and it hits the guy a bunch of times. Like, it's really powerful.
Yeah.
I had like 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't go down. Then I shot him with the bazooka like over 20 times before I finally killed him. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was. Oh.
I think, God, I'm trying to think of like my favorite enemy in the game overall, and Frankenstein is really up there.
Yeah.
They have like super villain Frankenstein. We can like shoot electricity out of his arms for some reason.
I love the design of just the basic zombie. I think it's one of the best cartoony zombies around.
Oh yeah.
I think
So
compares favorably even to the zombie and zombies in Plants vs Zombies. I think phenomenal zombie.
Just that like cyan blue hair. It's just
It's the like platonic ideal of a zombie. It's just perfect.
It's like have you ever seen the color photos they took of Night of the Living Dead, like when they did behind the scenes, and they were like at some point they were painting the zombies green, and it's like the movie's black and white. You don't have to do that. But just that classic zombie look that they kind of brought into Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead. It's just it's like it's the exact thing you want a zombie to look like.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's like all vampires that look kind of like Dracula. That's a perfect vampire.
Yeah, you got to close your cape and then turn it into some bats.
Yeah.
So they really nailed it.
You gotta have a cape. If you don't have a cape, you're not a real vampire. That's the
What
rule.
if you sparkle? If you sparkle in the sunlight?
Oh, you gotta sparkle too. I mean, that's just sparkle and then burst into flame.
There's no burst into flame with the sparkling vampires, but
I kept thinking playing this game. I was like, with Stranger Things has kind of fallen off with like the general popularity, but I was thinking, I wonder if a show could be made based off of this. That's just like Castlevania is doing really well right now, and Castlevania is a great show. So if you could take this game, which has basically no story, and make some kind of fun cartoon out of it or something, because all the elements are there.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, you could totally remake this into a modern day horror game, even if you wanted to do that.
Yeah. There was that game that I think it thought it was like a spiritual successor. Was it Monster Madness Battle for Suburbia? It's like a fairly early 360 PS3 game that was not great, but they tried.
It sounds familiar.
I want to say yes.
Yeah,
I know what he's talking about. I'm looking it up right now.
The cover of the
I
box is
forgot
like a
about it.
street sign, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. It says like monster. It's like a Monster Crossing sign with madness. I love that cover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I mean, that's a very good way. I mean, it's I want to say it's a top-down action game too, just like what we're playing here with Zombies Ate My Neighbors, and it's the same kind of thing where you get random weapons. I forgot that game existed.
It's the subgenre of Freaks Say the Neighborhood, because I remember the main characters in that game were like, one guy was like some weird like hip hop wannabe dude. Like like barely his pants were falling down, and then like the neighborhood nerd, and then like the goth chick.
It's like early 2000 Breakfast Club.
Yeah. How is that not a thing? I'm sure it is a thing.
I don't think I played it long, but I remember I bought this game on PC for some reason.
I almost bought the game just for the cover art, because I remember loving that cover art so much.
Oh, bring back memories all of a sudden. Something I didn't even remember existed. Well,
this is the part of the show.
That'd have been more fun than what we
where
played.
just revel in nostalgia.
This does look a lot like it, though. Damn, I should have played this.
Damn. Why don't you pick this game, Stefan? God.
Oh, man.
Because Stefan wanted to relive being a kid again, playing this game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Played as everyone's favorite character, Jennifer, who appears to be just a pair of boobs.
I mean, maybe this game would be more fun 2 players. I can't remember how the 2 player. Like, I feel like when you play 2 players, you can't go that far away from each other. Like, you have to stay on the same screen.
Yeah. It's
yeah. The only positive I'll say about it is that you had double the firepower, so it was a lot easier to take down most of the monsters. They didn't gain any extra health from having 2 players there. Present.
I don't know if this is the game that kind of started that camera movement with 2 players, but I always just call that the Fable rule, because I know Fable had that for some reason. A game way too late into the timeline to be using that still.
Yeah.
the second player must be with you, or else they will just be lost and you'll never see them again. Oh no, I've wandered off the screen. Please, now you have to come save
random
too.
old game.
Fable's not that old. Well, I guess it is pretty old.
Fable, yeah, it's older than you think.
Hey, Molyneux's still making games, right? Right? Right?
I don't think so, Tim.
He's out there. He's doing something. He's getting sued.
But, I mean, the mummies were annoying in this game because they took a lot of freaking hits from your water gun. Because I kept trying to save the gun as much as I could, and I that was part of my problem is I wouldn't use other weapons because I'm stubborn, and it caused me a lot of problems in this game.
Yeah, I think the trick with the mummies was either just to ignore them, or like if you absolutely couldn't, then like bubble them, or I think you could freeze them too.
You can freeze them.
Yeah, it's just like that's the only way to deal with them, and fighting them is impossible.
Mm-hmm. I tried using the explosive soda cans, but it never worked out well. Like I would just throw them and die instead. Like I never had any luck with them. They felt like a grenade, like they were like a grenade launcher idea, but I just can never get them to work well for me.
Mm-hmm. I love how colorful everything is in this game. It's a very small thing, but like games are getting better about this now. I mean, like Apex Legends is like just a beauty of colors, and there's like a Mass Effect. I mean, really brought back a lot of color palettes, but for the longest time, games were like kind of drab, and still some games come out. It's like
early 360 maybe.
All early 360 games. A lot of late PlayStation 2 games too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, even up to like Fallout. Like Fallout 3 is my go-to. I love Fallout 3, but that game is just gray and drab and kind of boring. And then you look at this, and it's just, oh god, there's like the neon greens and the bright, like the dark deep purples and like the bright blues. It's oh god, I love it. It's so great.
Yeah, it's popping.
It does do a good job of giving you like again that 80s feel, that 80s vibe, and it was like, I mean, I remember as a kid thinking this game looked really, really cool, and isn't it, that was first playing, I'm like, okay, it's kind of fun, it looks cool, just the challenge of it is what really brings you down. But I mean, it does look.
It's the best part of 80s nostalgia coming back. And the best part of all 80s nostalgia is just the amount of colors we're getting on TVs again. It's like, look at Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh god, I love it. It's a treat for the eyes.
And then it's near the end when you go to like, because they get rid of the castle and they start kind of moving you into like a weird mansion a couple times.
Yes, the mansion of Dr. Tongue.
I got so confused. You had to blow a hole. You had to go on the roof, blow a hole inside like these windows, and get back on the roof. I just could not get around some of those last parts and find, because I had like 3 survivors near the end, and it wasn't effective to have that many. You should just have one. Oh, that freaking final boss fight! If I wouldn't have been cheating, I would have never seen the end.
It's a nightmare. It is. It is really, really hard.
I can only imagine like getting to the end legitimately and dying to him and just going outside and punching the ground as hard as I could. That's probably what happened. I'd be so angry. Ugh.
The weirdest thing is that this game ends up like the last level. Suddenly you have story where it's like, Dr. Tongue is causing all this. It's like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Why not? We did not mention anything about anything at the beginning of the game. Like, at no point does anyone ask why this is happening. You're just out there saving the day.
Yeah, you get like the one level near the beginning is like something about Dr. Tongue, and it's like, all right, I don't get that reference. And then you fight him, and you're like, why is he called Dr. Tongue? Oh, okay. Yes.
They like try to hint at it halfway through the game. There's like almost the exact halfway point. There's a mission called Revenge of Dr. Tongue, and then the bonus level for that is the Son of Dr. Tongue. It's like I probably won't need to remember that.
I just feel bad for the guy that had to stay up all night and like work on that tongue sprite over and over again.
It's such a funny end boss to me too. Of like, okay, we fought like ghoulies, we fought giant ants, we fought Frankenstein. Who's the ultimate bad guy? Just kind of an older looking dude with screwed up glasses.
Yep. He turns into just a head. That's cool.
He's like, he could be like the bad guy from a Pixar movie. Just a giant floating head.
But I mean, the worst part about that, they make you fight the damn spider boss all over again, which is annoying and long. And then after, like, okay, I beat the game, and all of a sudden I'm like, what's the doctor doing back on the screen? Why isn't he? And he starts drinking the potion, and then all of a sudden a giant head comes on the screen and starts chasing after you. I was not happy with that game, and it takes a lot of hits too.
Yeah, and in that final level, it's not just him, they throw like every enemy at you. It's ridiculous.
Mhm.
Like you
It's
fight
like,
Dr.
we're gonna
Tong,
make sure
there's
you don't beat
ants are
this
showing
game
up,
in a weekend.
Frankensteins are showing up, blobs are showing up.
Yep.
Like I could not have beaten this game as a kid, or maybe I could have, and I would have looked back and gone like, clearly I was in my prime when I was 9 years old.
That's how I felt.
Because you beat this game before, right, Stefan? When you were a kid?
Yeah, I think I beat it. I beat it legitimately, I think, when I was 12, and my sister was second player, and she was 9. So
I don't know why it is with video game, with like any sport. You're typically in your prime from like maybe like 18 to say like 28, but with video games, you're only in your prime at 8.
Oh yeah, you got time.
Every year past that, you get progressively worse. So everyone was freaking out when that really young was there like a really young boy who won one of the esports competitions, just won like $8 million. Everyone's like, I can't believe it. I'm like, no, that makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, of course he won.
That little girl who won
Maybe it was
Pokemon,
Smash.
yeah, that's her demographic. She knows that game. She can name all 10,000 Pokemon.
I used to be able to name first 150, but that was a long time ago.
I can name Meowth and Pikachu because they were my favorites.
And when you fight that, the giant head, which is stupid, and as you keep fighting it, he keeps degrading more and more to kind of show you that you're getting closer and closer to the end, but it just keeps going, and he's shooting his eyeballs at you. And I was just standing there with cheat codes on, just unloading the bazooka over and over again. I'm like, can this just end? I want to go to bed. I never want to play this game again.
I couldn't tell if he was like, the sprite is great for it, but it's hard to tell if it's like a robot or if he's like the Zen alien from the end of Half-Life. It's very confusing.
yeah, he does look kind of robotic underneath, but it's still, you just can't tell the way it's done.
I think it's just that he has glowing eyes, and ever since Terminator, everything with glowing eyes looks like a robot.
Yeah. Plus it's par for the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
He's got the same thing going on that the first boss in Smash TV has, where you just whittle them apart and you get to see all the stuff underneath. But since it's a Super Nintendo or Genesis game, you're not going to see gore, but just like weird mechanical stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of the cheat to get around that.
Yeah.
All I can think of is big buddy, big
Yeah.
sizes. I love it. That's what came out.
I'm so sorry, Stefan, by the way, for playing the Dreamcast version, because I was looking at sprites, like the comparisons between the two. And first of all, in the Dreamcast version, he has a body for some reason.
What are you talking about?
I looked up sprites for him, and like there are like, oh no, this might have been like the remake they did on the game, because they ported it to the game, or not the game. I'm an idiot. They ported it to the phone. I've never sounded older in my life, by the way.
I'm really
They ported the game
confused
to
what
the
you're
phone.
talking about.
At some point, they ported this game to mobile, but it was really bad. Like it was really bad. I remember it was like in 2011, and the port was just garbage. Like it was super pixelated. It didn't hold up at all. So that might be what these pixels are from. There's a point where you see him where he has like a full body, and when you blow him up, instead of his head like melting, it like turns yellow and purple for some reason.
That sounds awful.
It was really, really bad.
Yeah.
And I know when I beat this game, when it shows the credits, it shows you how many monsters you killed of each monster, which I couldn't stick through it. I'm like, okay, I'm good. I got my picture. I'm done. I like to get a picture whenever I beat a game just so I can have it to make a post. Like going back, I'll be like, oh, I just couldn't do it. Like I was like, okay, I'm gonna wait, and I waited about 10 enemies. I'm like, they're gonna go through every enemy, aren't they? Oh, there's too many.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
There's
Every single one.
Which
a lot of enemy types.
there's actually the last level isn't just killing the boss, Dr. Tongue, either. There's actually another level where you get to meet everyone who created the game. And you run through an office and you can click on them and they'll say whatever the hell they say their name. And apparently one of them stayed up all night and worked on himself, because there's just a guy who worked on the game with a big buff like Arnold Schwarzenegger body wearing no shirt whatsoever.
I mean, that's 100% what I would do.
Yeah.
I like, by the way, I was looking up the enemy types, because just like some of the names of all of them were great. Like you have the classic Frankenstein. The name of the vampires in this are Vlad Belmont the Vampire. We're gonna throw as many references in there as possible.
Yeah, it works.
I mean, yeah, they could do it. I mean, they're Konami. They own it, so why not?
That's true. They own the name Belmont.
Yeah. Do you have any last things you guys want to say about this game before we go on to questions?
Just that there's a sequel called Ghoul Patrol, which I haven't played, and also that there is a Doom mod that's basically Doom, but this.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Shout out to
play Ghoul Patrol.
Shout out to this game as well for having like the easiest, most recognizable characters to cosplay of all time. Like,
oh yeah.
If you ever want to cosplay a character and you don't want to put you don't feel like you want to put that much effort into it, or you're not like super comfortable spending a ton of money, get a pair of 3D sunglasses and a skull shirt and put your hair up, and like that's all you got to do. And everyone will immediately know who you are.
How long did you work on this? Today.
Yeah. Well, I ordered the shirt on Amazon Prime, and I ordered the glasses on Amazon Prime, and I already had jeans, so
my hair looked this way.
You could wear it to a convention in 2020, but probably not.
Oh yeah.
So
hey, 2021 maybe. I have an outfit that I decided that this was the year I was going to start doing cosplay, and so
how'd that go for you?
Well, I ordered a bunch of stuff. I ordered like somebody on Etsy made like a Tom Nook shirt, and I was like, oh, I could do like Tom Nook. That's super easy, and that'll be like a great first one to do. And all my orders are pushed back, and all my conventions are canceled, and so I'll just wait.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll cosplay as Man at Home.
Yeah, they pushed back Comic-Con here from late May to late September, so it's pretty bad.
Yeah, we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if stuff just got outright canceled this year. So
yeah.
It's a good year for playing video games at home.
Yeah.
If you ever had a game,
everybody's like,
play with a friend.
I'm playing Xenogears.
I started playing World War Z.
That's because it was free and epic. All right, we should go to questions, memories. Kind of where we're headed. All right, this one from I watched the entire Overblood Super Replay group. I got a few memories. From Seth Cameron said, I missed this game. I rarely got to play it, but I remember it being fun/cool. Keep that memory and cherish it. You might not feel the same way if you play it now. From John Hill said, my buddy could never get past the giant worms level. We had to have rented the game like 10 times before my mom said, why don't we just buy the damn thing? One of my favorites. I haven't played it recently. It might not be your favorite anymore. This game hurt me. This game completely broke me when I couldn't find that damn key and I had to use cheat codes. Like I was mad. Like I got really upset because there's near the end and we never talk before we do a recording for some reason. We just don't communicate with each other. And I couldn't find this damn key. And I text Stefan after I used cheat codes and finished the game. He's like, well, yeah, there's a secret key in that level. I'm like, I should have messaged you early. But
it works out well though because we all end up having different experiences, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for most of us. For one of us, it's always a nightmare. But for most of us, it's a good experience.
Yeah, I feel like the only time we talked was like Parasite Eve because we're like, we got to finish this. What do I do next? Where do I go?
That's because you guys waited until hours before we recorded to play that game.
We burned through it.
Total professionals.
Yeah.
All right. This one from Bracken Floyd.
That's time management.
So when I was young, around 9 or 10, my dad one Halloween put on the original Dawn of the Dead. I was immediately ridiculously scared of the zombies. The first time I saw this game was soon after. It was at my cousin's house, and even though all I saw was the cover, I immediately wanted to leave because I was scared to death. Love zombies now. Still haven't played the game, but I heard it's a cult classic. Well, it's a cult. All right. I don't know about classic.
That's for 24 levels. It's a cult classic.
Okay. It was fun for the first 24 levels. I will give you that. I don't know how far that would go past that, but got a few more I want to read from the Laser Time group. From Alan Smith, he said, this is one of my favorite games. I had the Genesis version. I would play for hours while listening to White Zombie. Okay.
That's a good mix, I guess.
I mean, I listened to podcasts while I was playing this because I just, it's one they keep.
Because Mike refuses to enjoy sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially good soundtrack.
Why would you want to hear the best video game soundtrack of all time, I guess?
Yeah.
It's not Chrono Trigger, sir. So it can't be the best video game soundtrack of all time. Or Final Fantasy VI.
Goo.
Nothing. Okay. From Luke Batty. In the late 90s, my parents would buy cheap Genesis games that rental stores were getting rid of and randomly gift them to me. This is one of them. I loved it, played it all the time, either by myself or with my friends. I wonder how you feel like you play it now, because I did not love it. This one's funny. From David Notter Jr. So this is one of my favorite games of all time. I played it at least once a month with my son. The band Lame Genie recently released a cover album of the entire OST, and it's awesome. So some of you guys might care.
Yeah.
Check it out.
So I'm going to read one more, and then we'll move on to Shelf or Box. This one from Jack Dougherty. He said, not super, it gave me a password. He said, not super useful because you load in without many of the useful weapons you would have acquired up to that point. Fun game that nails the scary but fun, cute vibe that I love. Soundtrack slaps too.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care about the soundtrack, but I don't like. I'm very weird about soundtrack. Like if I didn't experience it when I was in high school or middle school, like Chrono Trigger, Xenogears, Final Fantasy VII, I have nothing to do with that music. I'm like, nope, doesn't work for me. It's not a good thing. But then again, I listen to Taylor Swift nonstop and Halsey, so my music taste is not something I consider very highly.
Don't listen to Mike.
See, I have the problem I have the problem where I love video game soundtracks, but I can't listen to them outside of games because it will like influence what I'm doing too much. Like I used to listen to I've mentioned this before. I used to listen to the Halo soundtrack while I was driving, and I had to stop because I would just end up speeding every day. Like, why am I going 100 miles per hour? Not that fast, but you get it. Why am I going 20 over the speed limit? Oh, it's because metal fucking guitars are screaming the Halo theme in my head.
All right, let's go to Shelf or Box. And Jeff, since you're our special guest, you want to go first?
All right. Oh man.
I think
I like the idea of this game an awful lot. But I think I would put it in a box. Yeah. Box it.
All right, that's what I was hoping for and expecting. I'll go
but the soundtrack. You put that on your playlist.
Separate the game from the soundtrack.
So good.
Maybe I'll listen to it, but I'm lying when I say that.
I'll listen to it again.
Listen to Taylor Swift in it. Now, if Taylor Swift did the soundtrack and she's singing along, I could listen to it. I don't understand my obsession with Taylor Swift, and I will. I don't get it.
I guess somebody has to like her. I think she's fine.
I listen to a lot. But okay, and I'm putting this in the box, obviously, because this game just did not do it for me. It made me angry. It made me sad because I was getting my ass handed to me, and it just wasn't fun to me. I enjoyed a few levels, but as the game gets challenging, it doesn't have anything to grip me. Like I like stories, I like RPGs, and there's no story, there's none of that, and it wasn't fun. I didn't have fun with this game. It's a good game. This was kind of on me, but it's going in the box, and I will never play it. How about you, Stefan?
This going back to this, I thought I was gonna hate it because you're just never sure when you go back to something. Like I don't play this annually. I beat it like twice as a kid, and then I bought it, the physical copy, like last year, and I played it for like 20 minutes. I was like, it was fun, but I should probably put it on the podcast to talk about for an hour, right?
No, you shouldn't.
No, everything about it, like Jeff said, the music, the sprites are fantastic. Like Stu said, the colors just pop out. I mean, everything about each monster is just so specific and beautiful. And I don't know, I just like the idea of a mismatch of monsters. It's almost like Stephen King's It, just everything thrown in there, just see what happens. And I don't know, it's a beautiful thing. And plus, I don't mind a challenge in a horror game, like some people, Mike.
Yes,
so
I hate it.
So I will admit, though, I think it is a little too long. They probably should have cut down the levels to like maybe half of what it is, or like knocked out a fourth and not made the last boss so terrible. But other than that, I really love it. I still love it. So it's going on the shelf.
Okay. How about you, Stu?
Well, I love the Lost Boys, so it's going on my shelf. I like that genre. I love that genre of weirdos save the neighborhood. It's great. I think there was actually a Lost Boys comic series that was kind of in the vein of this, where it was like the Frog Boys would go and like solve various mysteries and crimes. I want to say, if only we had a comic series, we could talk about that. Just like to not to echo Stefan too much, but not to echo Stefan echoing me. The colors pop out. All the monsters are designed so specifically, like you said, that you immediately recognize them upon seeing them. They're all so different and so unique and so charming. And just the charm of any callback to like 50s horror movies, like the classic, like the Universal monsters, or I mean, zombies are relatively newer, but like even like I love zombies. Like I can't help it. I love zombies. Like the cover art for this game is a callback to the original 50s posters. It's got the squirrel, like almost like Vertigo on it. And just got like the monster, like zombies that aren't in the game, but they're clearly modeled in the background. And like a woman screaming and the big font. It's exactly like a 1950s movie poster. I love
Beautiful. Yeah.
that. If I could separate like the first 24 levels and the second 24 levels from this game, like the first 24 is like a perfect game. It's short. It's got everything. It's got a very simple objective. It's a great game to like pop in and play through it, like play during the day and just enjoy. And then the second 24 is like, that's like a kind of just more of the same, and it turns into more of like a challenge mode almost. Like it should be like a separate game mode, really. It should be like the first 24 is the game, the second 24 is like extra hard, where we're gonna throw everything at you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the biggest downside for me. But overall, it's going to my shelf. I love the style, I love the look, I love the noise. It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's semi-perfect.
We can go with that. Okay. About what I expected. You two do like bad games, and me and Jeff have good taste. So
I like bad games and bad movies, so it's a great combination.
Before we wrap up, first thing I want to say, I want to thank Jeff for coming on again to
Heck
do
yeah.
this wonderful game with us.
Eventually,
Not
we'll
as good
pick a
as
game
last
that you
game.
really like.
All right. We'll do it.
Mhm.
And Jeff, do you want to give a shout out to your awesome magazine that I have sitting near me?
Yeah. Hello, magazine. Thanks for being you.
Great job. Hey, look at you.
That didn't work out as I was hoping, but that's what I get. For those that don't know, Jeff Cork works on Game Informer, so please subscribe to that magazine because it's good. It's worth it.
Yeah, we're all
I'll
working
plug
from
it
home
for
now, which is very strange. So we're
Yeah.
gonna, this next issue, like up to and including the cover story, is all being done remotely. Which, yeah, we'll see how
out.
it goes.
Like, it's like a
Optimistic.
blank magazine with like post-it notes on it.
Yeah, we owe you one magazine.
Yeah.
That's got to
It becomes a collector's
be.
edition.
Everything is strange.
Game
Yeah.
Informer, the blank edition, and it's just white pages, but you still go through the effort of printing it.
We could do like a callback. It'll be like the notes page on instruction manuals. in
Yeah.
games from back in the day.
Like what ESPN is doing right now, where they're like doing just the highlights, and it's just like our favorite reviews from throughout the years.
Do your own box scores. Yeah.
Or you put the game in there and you leave it blank. It's write
Yep.
your own review.
There you go. Like an activity book.
Think for yourself for once, sheeple. You write the captions.
That could work for reviews, but not for previews. Or just some pictures. You get to figure out what you want to say. Like you guess what you think this is going to be like.
Every
We're not
copy
gonna
of
tell you.
magazine comes with a free hotel Bic pen.
There you go.
I also want to give a shout out to our awesome intro and outro, courtesy of Bobby, aka Mike Stoney, from his EP "Bite the Bullet" song, "The Cool Kid Squad." So check him out. You'll see a link in the YouTube, and the link to his YouTube in the show notes. That's what I want to say. All right, I think that's about all we need to say today.
Do you
Any
want
last
to
thing?
repeat what we said last week? Or just
I should reintroduce what we're playing next week, huh?
oh yeah, do that too.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Stu, do you want to say what we're going to be playing next week since it's your pick?
Christ. Why did I not expect that every week?
It involves a raccoon.
I'm not stalling.
And he's
That could
sneaky.
be so many. Oh yes, of course. Next week we are playing Resident Evil again. No, next week we are playing the PS2 classic Sly Cooper.
And actually, it's a
Fun,
good game.
sneaky game that made a bunch of people question things about themselves.
Yep. And I will not be there, but I will be listening. So look
Yes.
forward to it.
Because you will be in Raccoon City the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. Stefan's dying next week, and we can't resuscitate him until like 2 or 3 weeks from now. So
So you
it's gonna be a whole thing.
Platinum's Resident Evil 3 remake. Yeah. that
Yeah,
sounds about right.
he developed a deadly disease that can only be cured in the future. Thankfully, the cure will only be 3 weeks from now, so we're gonna cryo freeze him for a very short amount of time.
Yep. I just have to wait for Trunks to come.
Yeah, any day now. What was that picture of the two
You
people
know-
walking down LA dressed as Android 18 and 19?
Oh, yeah.
that's right.
Yep.
That's perfect. What's
And,
going on right now?
As we said last week, just wash your hands, stay inside if you can, stay safe.
Yep.
Or it might be zombies eating your neighbors.
Yes.
Mhm.
All right. I think that about wraps up this episode. We will see you guys next week, everybody.
Oh Jesus! I just spilled tea all over
What?
myself. The first time I've done it on
Look at that
this show.
saying it. All right. Hi, everybody. See you next week.
First time it's happened at the very end of an episode. I guess best case scenario. Oh my god.
Bye.